Welcome to MyProjectBazaar.com. Let we discuss about the process detection and epileptic seizure from EEG signal using discrete wavelet transform and J48 classifier. Let me see the abstract of the process. Detection of epileptic seizure from EEG signal using discrete wavelet transform and J48 classifier. Electroencephalography signal is the recording of electrical activity of brain, which provides valuable information of the brain functions and neurological disorders. Classification of the EEG signal helps in the identification of emotions in persons or abnormalities in the persons. Classification includes training and testing steps. In the training step, the features were extracted for some set of signals. The classification process is employed using machine learning techniques like J48 and KNN classifier. Machine learning techniques were capable of the identification of the classes in the input data based on the feature values extracted from the signals. For extraction of feature values extracted from the signals, empirical wavelet transformation process is employed. Input EEG signals were obtained from dataset. The features were extracted from signals based on empirical wavelet transformation. Empirical wavelet transformation decomposes the EEG signal into a finite sum of intrinsic mood functions, which is an AM/FM signal. The statistical values were extracted from the decomposed signals, resulting in the empirical wavelet transform features. A method that classifies the input signal based on the wavelet features were proposed. The EEG signals were decomposed using EWT. In EWT, the level of decomposition is based on the input image. The extracted features from the signals is more effective compared to the features extracted from discrete wavelet transformation from the decomposed signal. Features were extracted based on the statistical features like mean and standard deviation. Extracted features were classified using classifiers like J48 and KNN classifier in order to classify the diseases. The performance of the process is measured based on the performance matrices like accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity of the classifier. The main goal of the study is to automatically detect the epileptic disorders in the EEG signal in order to support the diagnosis and the care of the epileptic syndromes related to seizure disorders. Let me see the flow of the process. Input EEG signal is obtained from the dataset. The EEG signal is then decomposed using empirical wavelet transformation. The features were extracted from the extracted based on the empirical wavelet transformed signals. Empirical wavelet filters supports depends on where the information in the spectrum of analyzed signal is located. The IMF properties are equivalent to say that the spectrum of an IMF is of compact support and centered around a specific frequency. The number of coefficients from wavelets were determined from the input signal. From each divided coefficients, the statistical values like maximum, minimum, mean and standard deviations were measured. The process is repeated for set of signals and the values were saved as the trained features. These features were extracted then used for classification process. The classification process is done based on KNN classifier and J48 classification. KNN classifier is a distance-based classifier that identifies the category of the signal based on the distance value measured. The distance between the trained features and the test features were measured based on distance metrics like equivalent distance. The number of neighbors is assigned from which the particular number of instances were used for the distance measurement process. The J48 classifier is a decision tree based classification process. In order to classify a new item, it first needs to create a decision tree based on the attribute values of the available training data. So whenever it encounters a set of items, it identifies the attributes that discriminates the various instances most clearly. This feature that is able to tell us most about the data instances so that we can classify them the best, and it is used to have highest information gain. Finally, The performance of the process is measured in terms of accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity of KNN and J48 classification methodologies. Let me see the running procedure of the process. If you want to run the code, select the file main.m, which is present in the dataset folder. Right click it and click on run file. We will get the process executed. So first select any one of the dataset which is present in the folder. So we select any one of the dataset, that is the EEG signals that we have obtained. So first step, this is the input signal that we have obtained, and this is the EWT features extracted from the input signal. These are all the EWT coefficients obtained from the input signal. So these input signals were divided into some set of coefficients and the features were extracted. After we have extracted the features, we have to classify it based on J48 and KNN classification process. So first, for that we have used VCA tool for the process. So we have to run the VCA.jar, which is present in the source code folder. In order to run this process, JDK has to be installed in our system. So first run the VCA.jar. So in order to run the VCA.jar file, so double click the VCA.jar file in the process which is present in the source code folder. So this is the VCA.jar file. So in order to use the classification process, we have to click on Explorer. After that VCA Explorer will come. So we have to give the feature values which is present in the source code folder, that is the CSV files which is present in the folders. So for that what we have to do means we have to browse the location of our files in the code. So after we have browsed the location, we have to select the CSV file, train data, any one of the data. So we have selected it. So all the attributes will be displayed here. After that we have to click the classify and we have to choose the classifiers that we want to use. So first the J48 classifiers will be present in the trees. So we can select J48 classifier and we can click on start. So this is the classification process of the J48 classifier. The average value, confusion matrix, and everything is displayed here. Then after that for the KNN classifier, we have to stick on lazy and then IBK. So this is the classification of the KNN classifier. So when we give start, the KNN classifier will execute, which is the result of the process. So after we have obtained these results, we have to click any one of the key in the MATLAB window in order to continue the performance evaluation process. So after we have clicked, we can see that the performance of the process has been calculated for the J48 and KNN classifier, and the accuracy of the process is measured. Thus we have classified the input EEG signals based on the VCA classification process, and the performance of the process has been measured. Thank you.